Hi, angels. How are you? In remembrance of Black history, I wanted to do a behind the music of one of my songs from my album, It Started With a Kiss. It's actually the title song. And a couple of things about this song that are kind of special. Number one, I got the beat from a really, really dear friend who was battling really young, and he got Parkinson's and I think it's called Lou Gehrig's disease. And so he had these two really, really bad things happening at the same time. And because of it, he knew he was dying. And to cheer him up, I wanted to do a song with him. So he gave me a bunch of beats, and I found one that I thought I could do some lyrics and, additional music to. And that was the first, how would you say it? That was my first inspiration for this song. Okay, that was the first thing. Then the second thing was, embarrassingly enough, I did not know the story of the kissing game. And the kissing case. And the kissing case is about some kids, 7, 9, 8 years old, in North Carolina. And this was in 1958. So in the big scheme of things, it's not really, really far as or in the past as history goes. Well, if you don't know the story, I'm going to put a link so that you can actually read about the case. But in a nutshell, it was some little kids were playing in the park. And they were black kids, white kids, their families knew each other. I think one of the black kids' mother worked as a domestic for one of the white kids' families. And so they're playing, and kids can be silly. And some of the kids dared this little white girl to kiss these little black boys on the cheek. And because they were friends and they'd known each other for years and complete innocence, she kisses the little boys on the cheek. And she goes home, no big deal. And she tells her sister, because she's thrilled that she's kissed these little boys on the cheek, right? And her mom overheard them. Mom was not happy. Mom told Daddy. When Daddy came home, he loaded up his good old boys in the truck, and they were going to kill these two little boys, 7, 9 years old. They had been kissed on the cheek. They did not do anything to this little girl. It's important to the story that you understand. They were kissed on the cheek. And the father and the mother were so incensed that they wanted to kill these little boys. Forgive me if I get a little excited, but it's just, I can't believe this happened so recently in history. I mean, when you think about it, what's that, 60, 70 years ago? Less than 100 years, right? Okay. So fortunately, the little boys were not found. But the police came by, and the police found them and put them in jail. And while the little boys were in jail, they were beaten, 7 and 9 years old. And they were beaten, and their parents were not allowed to see them or visit them and find out what the heck was going on. And now I'm not sure, you'll have to read about the case. I'm not sure if they saw the judge before they saw their parents or if they saw the judge after. But the point is, the judge puts a 7 and a 9-year-old on the stand and asks, why did you assault this little girl? Or did you assault this little girl? They're 7. whatever the judge says for them to tell or hints at them to say, they're going to say it. So the little boys go, yeah, I guess we did. I don't know. You know, she kissed us on the cheek and I guess that's assault. I don't know. So then the judge decides to send them to, I think back in the day it was called reform school, basically juvenile hall. They were going to jail for kids. Okay. 7 and 9. It's important to the story, 7 to 9. So, the little boys are hauled off to jail. I don't think that they were allowed an attorney at that time, but the NAACP got involved to a certain degree, and the boys were basically convicted of assault and assault basically back in that time was rape. Okay. Kissed on the cheek. Go to jail until you're 18 for getting kissed on the cheek. What the hell? Okay, so fortunately, the press all around the world got involved, all right? Because Eleanor Roosevelt got involved and she wrote letters, and the NAACP, and no one could seem to, the governor was totally against it. He wouldn't pardon them or anything. Basically said they deserved what they got. Total BS. But the international press got a hold of it, and they could not believe that in America in 1958, that 2 little boys were going to spend the majority of their, or a large portion of their life in jail for being kissed on the cheek. There's a lot going on behind this song, right? And so the press got a hold of it, and they condemned. The United States and North Carolina were condemned. They were condemned for such horrible behavior, rightly so. And so the United States and North Carolina were embarrassed. They were embarrassed that that a light had been shown on their racism. What the hell? And so eventually the little boys were released, and they were released, but any semblance of innocence, semblance of hope, the things that you have, you know, when you're a little kid, you know, were basically destroyed. And it destroyed and or affected their lives for the rest of their lives. They're still alive. They're still alive. But one of the guys, you know, it affected him so badly that he had a bunch of issues in jail and stuff like that, you know. But anyway, all that to say, that was the reason behind this song. And so I really thought that, especially during Black History Month, it was important for people to not only understand as an African American, some of the things that we have to deal with, you know. Not only that, and like I said, this was, you know, not too long ago, and you understand all the problems that we're having with the popo and with what I believe are people who are so terrified of losing power. And when I say power, I mean economic power, that they are willing to do all kinds of legal things, basically manipulating the law as far as voting and redistricting, and police being frightened of a Black person who's sitting in a car eating drinking a milkshake. Oh, they're terrified that they're going to kill them, you know. That a lot of it is, you know, is a remnant of this mentality of, you know, not allowing people of color the opportunity to perhaps be a little bit more successful than they are. Okay. My opinion, please understand, this is my opinion. But, you know, I have always believed that a lot of racism is based on economics, you know, and we want to keep, and we don't want you to be as economically successful, economically viable as us. Again, my opinion, not everybody's opinion. But anyway, all of those things were what came into writing this song. The history of this, the kissing case, my friend being ill, and I really wanted to give him a little bit of hope and make him feel, it makes me sad just thinking about it, but give him just a little bit of hope about, you know, still being able to create music. He could barely, as far as cognitively, he couldn't really like grasp 100% of what was going on, but he knew he was in the recording studio and he was so thrilled. And it just made me feel so good that I could give him just a little bit of happiness in a day, even though the song was really, really sad, you know, because at that point I hadn't written the lyrics. I had just worked out like all the parts for the musicians and everything. But just to let him know that he was still a valuable person and he could still be creative. And, you know, I was going to be there with him to make sure that the project got done. So sorry, you know, I told you I ramble, but that's the history behind the song. And I'm going to put a link, once I figure out how to do that, I'll put a link on the song and let me know what you think about it. You know, I know it's not going to be a cup of tea for everybody because it does deal with racism, and a lot of people like to forget that. But I think that it's important for everybody to understand history so that we can move forward and be better and do better. And it's important for us to remember some of the things that happened in the past, again, so that we can do better in the future. So, happy Friday. Besos, bees to all of you. Love you. Kisses, hugs, and all that stuff. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week. Toots.